Welcome to Bare Bones. With your hosts, Danny Meehan and Dr. Mason West.
Welcome in, Bears fans. This episode of Bare Bones, the penultimate episode before the mock, because we're not going to be doing anything special this year because I don't want to. I am, as always, Mason West, joined by Danny Meehan, Khari Thompson, and special guest Q. How is everyone doing, Danny? How's life? How's the baby?
Danny, can you hear us?
Danny's doing his own thing. Khari, how are you? Well, how are you doing? Until Danny figures out what he's doing over there.
Look, I'm doing great. Actually, my kid's sick, so that's unfortunate. But she's doing okay. We're living the life, living the dream. Here to talk some Bears.
And we're super lucky. We got Quinten in. He actually has his own spot at Bucket Sports. He does his own stats. Jeez, at Bucket Stats. It says it on the screen because I can't talk today.
My goodness,
it's been a rough day. I can't even tell you. He actually had his own show where he did something kind of similar to this earlier this week. He did an awesome job. They did a very, very in-depth. They have their own board. It's very cool. We're not as special as them, but Q's going to bring some of that expertise over here and help us out.
Yeah, and I honestly love the way you guys do it. It's the creative, like, kind of. We're going to do a draft each week, but we can't choose the same guys, really forcing you to learn so many different names. And like, as you're going through, like, I see this name, I see J-Lux Hunt. I don't know anything about him. Maybe I should learn something about him. That type of stuff. That's really cool. I think it's a really good way to do it. And I'm excited to be on with you guys.
Yeah, I think that it's also just a fun exercise. How many times can you really just draft Caleb Williams #1 overall? Like, it gets boring after a while. Let's just have some fun with it while we can.
Yeah. And I love to watch y'all's comments too on like the next day. Like, why would you do this? Like, listen to the rules, guys. Listen to the rules.
I had to mentally steel myself during this process because it was very different than last year. Last year, there's a lot of different pathways you could go, right? Especially with trading down after having the #1 pick, and then who knew what they were going to do at that pick, eventually getting Darnell Wright. But this year, when you put out a mock and you compared it, all right, here's mine, here's Khari's, and here's Brad Spielberger's. And, Brad's going with Caleb, obviously. And you're like, and because I'm waiting on Caleb, I'm taking Jaden Daniels, and just being ready to get just the onslaught of like, oh, doesn't matter. It should be Caleb. It was a fun and interesting process, and definitely helps my mental fortitude. So
yeah, I bet.
What we're going to do today is we are going to do a Bears War Room, right? We're going to simulate to an extent what might be happening. Most of these conversations obviously have already happened. They're not sitting there during pick 9 and just trying to figure out who they're taking. For the most part, they have a big general idea. What, like I said, Q did and what those guys did over there was a better example of having a board that they put together, and this is who we expect. This is our cloud of players. But we're kind of taking a little bit of a different approach to this. As I've tweeted out, y'all, the chat, get to be a part of this. You get to be our Midwest regional scout. I'm going to throw up, actually, I'll just show it right now. Why don't I just do it? I just posted the first one. For each of these, they're going to be adjusted as we go. But for this first one, we know what the pick's going to be. So we're just giving an example here. It is now live. It is also now in the chat. So if you want to go ahead and vote, I made it very easy. We'll share this tab so that we can see what it looks like. Basically, we got Caleb Williams, Drake May, Marvin Harrison Jr., and trade back as our options. So go ahead and go vote on that. And we're going to, take what you guys have into account on this. But there's not.
I wonder what everyone is going to say.
I do wonder. But we do have to talk about it a little bit. Before we do that, we'll let that run, see what happens on there. Pulling up now. This is what our mock's going to be. So I don't know about you guys, but when I do these, I tend to it's defaulted to just the lowest public and like, or way over on the left. I tend to bump it up a little bit. I don't know
Yeah.
what you
I do
think.
exactly what you just said. I always match the care for positional value there. Like that feels right.
Yeah. Yeah. I always put it. Yeah, I think I usually put it about equal or just slide it to the right enough. Like the idea that it's just all the way to the left just
Mhm.
cosmetically bothers me.
It's an aesthetic thing because I do the same thing. It's like this doesn't look right in my brain, so I need to fix it a little bit.
And I just, PFF has its own rankings, and it kind of throws the draft off a little bit. While the public isn't the end all be all, it does relate to some of the rumors that are floating around and all that. So we're gonna bump that up a little bit. Usually, I just leave care positional value, draft needs. Obviously, yes, that should be higher. Like you do want to draft for need to an extent, and then let's not make it super random. Enter the draft.
Unless you just want chaos, then you just make it super random.
Those are fun though. We're gonna start. We just have to have any conversations or anything like that. But you know what? Let's get going here. So we're gonna start the draft. Pick 1-1. What are we gonna possibly do here? We know we're gonna take Caleb Williams, but let's just say, for the sake of argument, Q, there's someone in the corner that says, "Well, what about Drake May?" What would your response be as to why you're taking Caleb Williams over Drake May?
Basically, I think he's less of a project. Like I think May has so many tools, so much to like, but I do think there is a multi-year progression there to get him to the point where you really feel like, okay, this guy is going to be a good quarterback. This guy is a good quarterback. I think Caleb's progression at that point is a lot shorter, a lot quicker. I think he has a lot of the similar tools. And honestly, I just thinking through, I was going to say, and less of the baggage, but he played with a pretty rough squad in USC too. But I feel like when I watch Caleb, I see fewer bad habits forming than I do with Drake May from the result of that team that he played with.
And Danny, what about if someone's like, yeah, what about Jaden Daniels, right? I mean, he won the Heisman. He's waiting in the wings. Like you're hearing he's gaining steam potentially as QB2. Why not make him QB1?
I just can't get there. I think it's the easiest.
Because no.
Put it like it's almost like I feel like I've said this before on our show, Mason. It's just like it's almost like you took Fields' traits, put them down to the 70th percentile instead of the 90th and 100th percentiles, and said, "Here he is again, but on a rookie deal and not needing to be paid. Except he's smaller, not as fast, and doesn't do anything quite as well as Justin did coming out. Except for he's better in the short accuracy, and he bails on the pocket at a historic rate. Like I will say, two things can be true. I like Jaden Daniels. He's one of my favorite college football players I've ever watched on the aesthetic of being a fan. I don't like him to be an NFL quarterback for more than a couple of years because I think he's going to break because he'll sacrifice his body to the football gods.
I think it's a very fair point. Really quick, I'm going to bring up the vote so far. Caleb Williams running away with it at 81.3%. Marvin Harrison a close number 2, not really, but I mean 12.5%. It's the best you can really do here. And then trade back at 6.3. So Khari, I'm going to let you double dip here because I know you and I both had Marvin Harrison in one of our first mocks, being an option in a trade back. Why not Marvin Harrison? And ultimately too, why not a trade back? This is silly, but we're having a conversation.
Sure, let's do it. So I think it's reasonable if you want to say Marvin Harrison Jr. is your top player in the draft. If you want to go that way, I think that he may well be the best overall player in the draft. I mean, people talk about Caleb Williams being thought of as, the top guy in the country for 2 years. Like Marvin Harrison Jr. was really right there with him, if you think about it, at least from my recollection. He was really coming onto the scene pretty heavily during that sophomore season, but I digress a little bit. I think that there are a couple of different reasons for that. Number one, you have to get a quarterback. It's really just as simple as that. You have to get a quarterback.
Yeah.
You have created a situation where you have to get a quarterback. You clearly intend to get a quarterback. And trading down and taking Marvin Harrison Jr. or taking Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 1 overall does not accomplish that goal. It's unnecessary. It's a luxury. You know what I mean? It's a luxury that honestly you kind of can't afford it at this particular point in time, and you don't need to try to afford it. So as much as I like Marvin Harrison Jr., the idea of taking him is completely off the table for me unless he falls down to like pick number 6 and you want to trade a 2025 third rounder for him or something like that. As far as trading back, pretty much the same reasoning. I mean, okay, you trade back from number 1 overall. Where are you trading back to, number 1, and who's your target? So sure, you could trade back to number 2 with the Washington Commanders and then get your pick of the litter from there, assuming the Washington Commanders want Caleb Williams. You could totally do that. But again, the next question is why? Like for who and for why? So you could say Drake May is the upside guy that you want that, hey, you know what? He's got some footwork things that we need to clean up. He's not quite as refined as Caleb Williams, but the arm talent is there. The playmaking ability is there. Let's go ahead and roll the dice on that. You could do that. Again, I don't know. If you wanted to take Drake May that bad, take him number 1 overall, honestly, is my opinion. And then Jaden Daniels, again, I think that I like Jaden Daniels. I think he's improved from what he was doing earlier in his career, especially when he just didn't look like a very functional passer, in an NFL sense of the word. And then also the injuries and offering himself up to the Lord, constantly when he leaves the pocket. But again, I think that if you're in a position to take the best quarterback in the draft, take the best quarterback in the draft. Just do it, right? There's no need to get cute with it. Don't try to trade down and be like, oh, yeah, well, we actually like this guy better. If Caleb Williams is your guy, that's it. You have the number 1 pick. Just do what you want to do and deal with the number 9 pick. Trade that down. Do whatever you want after that. But just take the best quarterback. I think it's really that simple.
I think it's pretty that simple as well. In the 2000 are going to take Caleb Williams, lock it in. Now, when I hit this button, right, it's going to start moving a little slow here. If anything pops up, holler, because I will pause it if we need to. But knowing who's in the room right here, I don't know what's going to happen. Jaden Daniels at 2, Drake May at 3, Malik Neighbors at 4. I'm going to pause it really quick here, just because I feel like we have to. So first of all, how comp Q? Do you think the Cardinals are sticking and picking at 4?
I think it depends a lot on what happens with 2 and 3. To be honest,
based on this, with Jaden going 2, Drake going 3 in this scenario, do you think they would stick and pick here? Or do you think they're moving?
I would bet that they're moving. If I'm being realistic, I mean, I think there is a world where they stay there, where they're not getting enough value back in return to say we're going to pass up on Marvin Harrison Jr. because who knows how far they're going to have to go back there. Like if it's the Vikings calling, if it's the Raiders calling, you're not going to get a player of that caliber there, right? So then you get into the whole question of, well, can you trade back up? And it gets really messy at that point. And I think that becomes a lot to orchestrate for any team. So it's something that's hard to be confident in. So, I mean, I think I'm like 60-40 saying they'd trade, but I do think we are overconfident in the ability to move around in the draft sometimes this high, where it's not always as easy as it is in the simulator to just say, okay, I'm going to pause it, then I'm going to trade back up, and I still get those extra picks from the last trade, and I lose a little bit on that, but that's fine because I'm still getting Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't think that that's necessarily real life. So I do think they will lament it a little bit and really think on it. But like I said, 60-40 to trade versus staying and taking them.
Danny, I'm going to throw this question to you first because I'm very curious of where you're going to go with this. And I think you know where I'm going with this question. There's a man currently sitting there available at pick 5. We know the Chargers might want to trade back. And I put this question in the chat. Do we trade up and take Marvin Harrison Jr.?
It depends on the price. I'm in the camp similar to.
So you're saying there's a chance. Okay, I like where this is going.
So let me put it this way. Kyrie put it best. A couple years ago, I had Kyle Hamilton as the best football player in his draft class, but he played safety, so he fell to 14, and now we're all seeing the Ravens reap the rewards of that because the league really just outthought itself. If for some reason, and it's not that I think Malik Neighbors is bad at football, I think he's tremendous. I just think it's MHJ and then everybody else. I think he kind of lives in his own world, and that's totally fine to disagree with me. We all live in our own independent thoughts sometimes. It depends on what it costs. I don't want to touch this year's capital if I can help it. And I really don't want to give up more than a third to move up 3 spots, especially when Rome Odunze, who I have my own questions about, could just be there at 9 to be for the taking. Or you could have your pick at the best defender in the draft. For my money, probably Byron Murphy at this point. But that's another conversation for further down in the round. Let's see what happens. Like, could you get up to 6 for your third next year? Maybe. Do you want to part with one of your 2s? I really don't want to give him that Carolina 2. Like, and it's a hard question because what do you value Marvin Harrison at?
I will also say it definitely, probably what we could trade up for in the simulator is different than real life trade up.
Correct.
I don't see a world. I don't have like the charts in front of me, and actually I was gonna have one of the machines that actually does all the points, and I just forgot to do it. But I would think the conversation starts with that Carolina 2. Q, what do you think?
I would guess so.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably look at it as, yeah, starting at the 2. I mean, I'm not even sure how much the simulator factors in the charts. I was initially going to say I'd look at it whatever the simulators has plus a little extra capital, but I'm not sure if the simulator is actually going after the charts. Yeah, so it probably starts at the 2. I mean, I can't. It's one of the weird things here. Like, how much do you guys think other teams around the league are sitting there vying to get up there? Like, so that's my question on it, because you maybe have someone going up for quarterback, but realistically, how much of a premium is the best wide receiver in the class gonna get?
Especially in this class. The receiver class is really good.
Yeah.
I
I
so
think,
agree with that. And Kyle, I'll let you actually take this next, but I so agree with that. But like, this is a very good class, but isn't there such a big difference between, let's just use the big 3, Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., Rome Odunze, and Ricky Pearsall? Like, you know, it's not just Ricky Pearsall, it's Ricky Pearsall plus probably whatever you traded back for, whatever the case may be. But isn't there like a pretty big gap even in a deep class?
Well, you're picking the wrong guy. It's about a couple of other guys, not Ricky Pearsall in the 3rd round.
I picked Ricky Pearsall because he's a potential 2nd round guy who, if you had 9, traded back, took Byron Murphy, and maybe you could get a second, that could be an example of a guy.
Don't lie to me, Mason. It's because you love his artwork on his body.
He does have great tattoos, but you can insert whatever 2nd round right receiver there you want in this conversation. Khari, I know you were itching to get at this. What are you thinking here?
well, there are a couple of different considerations. I think number one, you got to ask yourself, given the wide receiver room right now, where does Marvin Harrison Jr. theoretically fit into this? I feel like it's easier almost to look at, Rome Odunze and be like, well, that guy is obviously somebody that is, kind of slotting in after DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, and he's your number 3 receiver. And in this case, Marvin Harrison Jr. would be your number 3 receiver. It's like, does that work for you? Because he's kind of got that level of talent where you think to yourself, like, that could be the best receiver on your team right now. I feel like some of it depends on, I think, do you want to keep your options open when it comes to Keenan Allen being a little bit older? You maybe get Marvin Harrison Jr., let him work in, and then he's ready to break out in year 2. I feel like you got to think about how he fits into the team right now. And with that being said, does it make sense to trade up and put him on the team just for that reason? And I think the other part of this is I think that you're right that the first team is going to say, or a team that you're going to trade up with potentially is just going to either going to want the Carolina 2, and I think the most I would give up is next year's 3. So I think that you could throw that on the table potentially if you want to and see if it's accepted. But I mean, I'm going to, in trade chart wise, I think it would work out. I just took a look at it and, we'd be moving up to 5 here. And I'm checking out actually the Fitzgerald Spielberger chart. Shout out Brad Spielberger. And the value for the number 5 overall pick is 2,184. So 2,184. And then number 9, it's 1887. So there's a difference of about 300, a little bit less than 300 points there. So honestly, in theory, you could get away with next year's 3 and say that that's good enough, because third round picks, and I know that there's a slight difference here when you're talking about this year's thirds versus next year's thirds, but a third round pick this year is worth about 600 points. So you would technically be paying a slight premium for that. But again, I don't think a team is going to be necessarily like, oh yeah, like that's all we're going to get, especially if a team is thinking to themselves, like, if someone wants to trade up for JJ McCarthy, you're going to get so much more for that. So I think the bottom line is it's probably a no for me with Marvin.
Chat, aka our Midwest Regional Scout, agrees with you, Khari. 74.2% of the chat out of 62 votes said no. For example, Doug Gross, MHJ would be great, but there will be a top line wide receiver available at 9 with no trade needed.
Maybe.
My pushback to that is, in this scenario, Malik was already taken, and probably Marvin will be soon gone. The chances of Rome falling to 9 decreases, in my humble opinion, if you're looking for Roma Dunze in this situation.
I mean, Marvin's going to be gone right now if you don't take him.
Chargers are taking him. Someone else is trading up from him, in my opinion. So let's just take a little poll here. So our Midwest scout said no. Khari said no. Danny, what are you thinking?
No, not worth it. Not for what I believe it would actually take in a realistic situation.
And Q.
I say no. And if we want any trades, I just pulled up my spreadsheet that does Jimmy Johnson, Rich Hill, Spielberger, Fitzgerald, and another one. So I've got the math in front of me, and I say no.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm just gonna throw it on in the simulator here to see what it shows. They're saying there's a 48% chance to be accepted with that future third. If you did the Carolina, it'd be 92%, which again, I don't think realistically it would be just the Carolina second. I think it'd be the second plus a sweetener. I don't know, maybe a fourth or something like that. My answer was yes. And as GM Ryan Poles, I could absolutely just say yes here, but I'm going to let it slide. I'm going to listen to my room. Y'all, chat, you guys, I'm going to listen to you. When he is a, Hall of Famer, I'm going to be calling and knocking on your door. But it's fine. Everything's fine.
Just remember, don't say mean things about MHJ because his dad will get you.
All right, we're moving on.
What would that
we're not
be
trading
reminiscent of, though? That would be like what the Falcons going and getting Julio, like the year after they drafted Matt Ryan.
Well,
it would be similar to that, right?
I'll say this. You get Caleb Williams. You're thinking of him as being a potential Hall of Famer. What do you need Marvin Harrison Jr. for?
I was going to say
tackle Joel just taken at pick 5.
Ooh.
Okay, now we're talking.
Does this change anyone's point of view? Again, is this going to happen in the real draft? No. This is craziness right now. But we're going to play this as it is right now. This is what we're doing.
In this case, I'm considering it. Because look, six to me, the difference between 6 and 9, because I found myself thinking, like, if I'm the Bears, if I'm being honest, I'm not really thinking about trading up for anyone. Like, not seriously, but I'm going to entertain it at least. I want to know who's there. Daniel Jeremiah floated the idea of trading up to number 6 for Joe Alt potentially, which again, I'm not doing that personally, but now we're talking about, again, potentially the best player in the draft is now within striking distance 3 picks away. I'm just saying.
So, I mean, I'm at the point where, according to Jimmy Johnson, 9 and 75 might get this done. And I know we want 75. I know we do. But Marvin's staring us in the face there at 6. And like in reality, I don't think the Giants are passing up Marvin. I don't think they're trading out.
I don't think they're trading out of that spot is the problem I'm getting
Yeah.
from Q. Like I would go so far as to say I would give the Bears second next year to secure it instead of just 75, because the prevailing thought is you're still a year away, right?
And they're probably pretty equal, like on a pure math basis.
Okay. Here's why I think I just don't know that the Giants maybe like 100%, like they're not true. Okay. The Giants are in an interesting place here. Huh?
Well, because and also JJ's sitting there for the Giants.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking, right? They need a quarterback, right? They need a quarterback of the future, because Daniel Jones ain't it. Pretty sure they're moving on from him after this coming season once it becomes remotely feasible to do so. They could just take JJ here. They could also trade down, recoup a little piece of value there, and then slide back up for JJ if they want, or see if JJ makes it to 9. But I don't know.
Highlight, chat hates the idea of Marvin Harrison Jr. apparently, because 66% of them currently are saying no still.
I mean, like I said, I think it makes sense to just stick with the plan as you are. And again, I'm not doing 75. I'm keeping this year's picks. I'm not touching it.
You only got 4 picks, man.
I'm not a big fan of 75 either. If I did this, it'd be for a future pick.
If I'm the sorry, go ahead, Mason.
No, go ahead. I'm just rampant. You go ahead.
I was gonna say if I'm the Giants here, I am looking at, like, I got Tennessee right behind me. I don't think Tennessee's taking JJ McCarthy, right? And I think they want their pick there because they just spent a bunch of money in free agency. They're expecting to start winning games. So I don't know that they're looking to trade down either. I'm looking at trading down with someone, though, because I need to stay within JJ McCarthy range. Like, I'm looking at Atlanta. I'm looking at Chicago. Beyond that, I don't want to move further than probably even Atlanta, because I'm like, then someone can jump me, right? But I don't think moving down to 8 for them, they can really get jumped, because I think Tennessee's going to stick at 7.
All right, we'll put it to a vote. Chat is at 71-ish%. They get the littlest portion of this pie, by the way. So, like, if we say no to chat, obviously we're going to do that. Danny, would you move up from 9 to 6 if we gave the Bears future second?
Yeah, probably.
I'm trying to be realistic here. Like, the simulator says we could probably do it for like a 4th, and that's just silly.
I'm not the right person to ask, because I just think
you're in the war room. I have to ask you, assistant GM.
Offer the third.
Start with the future third and see if you can get them off that.
They're gonna take it. It's a 75% chance.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, I think it takes next year's 2nd and 3rd, and I'd do it.
All right, Q says yes. Danny, I called ring. They said no to the future 3rd. They need the 2nd, the Bears 2nd, not the Carolina one.
No.
Danny's out for that one. Khari.
It's not that important to me in a receiver class this good.
All right, Khari, would you do it for the Bears 2nd?
Honestly, yeah, I would.
All right, that's the majority. I'm gonna offer the trade. Oh, look they did it. So,
Marvin, how are you, sir?
All right, well, I don't think we need to heavily dive into this. Plus, we're already like 29 minutes in, and
just do it.
All right, we're just taking Marvin Harrison.
You know why we're here.
Wait, hold on. I had a whole thing, so I had to do this. There we go. Because I had to play that. All right, Marvin Harrison Jr., you are a Bear.
I'm even mad about it. It's more just I'm thinking value and picks.
I'm going to speed this up too, because we don't need it to be slow now.
Oh, what? You can do that at the top? You can adjust that?
Yeah, that's a new thing.
Oh my God, that changes the game.
All right, Bears sitting here at pick 75. I'm going to do a quick skim to see if there's anyone in the 3rd that's been picked that would matter for the Christian Haynes went at 69. Blake Fisher went at 73, tackle. Who cares? Your receiver? We have Marvin Harrison Jr. Jonah Ellis, an edge, went at 63. Marshawn Nealand, which I don't think is going to happen here, but he went at 61. I think he's potentially a 1st round pick. But anyway, so we are now sitting here, pick 75. I'm going to go to my assistant GM first here to have this conversation. are you leaning more towards sticking and picking or trying to get some more asses in the seats, one could say, because we do only have 4 picks this year?
I'd probably want more picks because my personal opinion, this is where I was going to go if we didn't trade up. You're one injury away from Montez Sweat to having a dysfunctional defensive line again that just cannot do anything, and you need bodies. Like, I know everyone said, well, Gervon Dexter came on to end the year. Kinda. Like, it was a lot of just like, he had a flash play here or there. It wasn't like he was consistently being disruptive in the player you thought you were drafting when you took him out of Florida. There's a lot of stuff that needs to happen, like, especially for defense. And I can't stress this enough. You kept Matt Eberflus, who's a defensive head coach. You can't burn your top 2 picks on your offense and basically give him the middle finger.
Of course you can.
I personally could, but I don't think that Bulls would. To your point,
He is
Q.
attached now.
The reason I think that the aforementioned trade is even possible is honestly because you only have 4 picks. It's like, well, especially if you got the 2 first rounders, like, why not just get the most bang for your buck possible? But again, like, I think not trading down then I think makes these next 2 picks. We really got to talk about this.
Yeah. So Q, just a couple players that stand out to me going through this list. And if y'all need me to scroll down on this, let me know. I'm not a big fan of him, but Ruka Rohoro is available, defensive interior. I know we do need some edge. Xavier Thomas out of Clemson. I know he's a U guy. I've recently come upon Jalix Hunt as an edge who I'm interested in, but I don't know at this pick at 75 if I'm necessarily all that interested. Mason McCormick, but again, he's a little further down. We could probably trade back. Is there anyone that would stand out here that would be worth pick 75 and not trading back to UQ?
Is Booker there?
Booker's there, yeah.
He is there, yeah. I meant to say him. Yeah, he's there.
I do have Rook in my top 50, but he is way too much of a project to take at this point. Like, he's I like him a lot, but when you're this far in the draft, this few picks, I don't think you can be taking projects like that. And he is a project. Booker is the only guy who I've seen that I'm like, I'd really not want to miss out on him because I don't think he's going to last much longer. But there are a handful of interior defenders that I like in this draft, and probably still on the board here. So I'm not too worried about even interior. It's just edge. I think Booker's the last edge that I really feel like can come in and contribute, but even he needs development. The odds of finding an edge here who's going to be a contributor the rest of this draft are pretty darn low. The second you don't take one in the first round, that's the way it goes.
Yeah, the calculus shifts a ton.
Yeah. So in my mind, I'd be more likely shifting towards, well, there are some interior defenders I like, and that can help the D line. It's not edge pressure, but it's still something that's going to help beef up that rotation. And I'd be interested in looking at a trade exit just because you got to know what is even out there. Someone's trying to move up 5 picks.
Yeah.
And you can get another pick for it. You do it in a heartbeat.
Let's see what's out there, Mason.
See what's out there. The Browns would like the soonest trade back is 10 picks with the Browns.
That's not bad.
Now, again, this is also what's being offered to us. It doesn't mean we can't poke and prod a couple picks sooner, but is 85 too far back for y'all? So, for example,
is 156 enough to move up 10 picks? Because I don't care about getting 156 and 205. 205 does nothing for me.
According to the simulator, this will likely be accepted with a full green bar. In this, I don't know about real life. According to this, we could get the rest of it.
You just take the rest of their draft.
Every other pick is after 200. It's worthless.
Let me see. You could also go back with the Texans. They have 86, 123, 127, 188, 189.
123 is really interesting if you can get it. Because I don't think they're giving you 86.
Yeah, I mean, I'd do that hard. I'd do that fast. Like that would be like, okay, I'm in. And for the Jimmy Johnson chart, looking at Cleveland, 85 and 156, Cleveland's winning that trade by 21 points. So it's within reality, but you're not winning the trade.
And then getting 85, what is that? Oh, 89 and 92.
Oh, sorry, I moved on to something different. Here you go. 86, 123 would be the current.
I think 86, 123 is reasonable, actually.
Yep.
Quick, because I want to look at cover all my bases.
That's
The
still
Buccaneers
actually
are
has-
also calling us. 89 and 92 might be there. They don't want to do that, but if we flipped them a future 5th, there's a 50% chance of that happening.
You've already dealt into your future picks. Stop giving away your picks.
Yeah, it's a 5th round pick. What do I care?
There's future picks. I don't care about a 5th round pick. I don't care about that.
So this is where I will disagree. After the draft gets to the 6th round, sure, start trading them all. 5th round.
Doug, they have a 5th next year.
Yeah, if we have 2 5ths,
It's 2
I'm
fifths,
fine with
yeah.
that. You still have 7 picks last year,
Fuck
1 in
it.
each round except for 7.
Ryan Poles is trading away 5th round picks for nobodies. Like,
You're a nobody.
okay, I'm gonna fight you.
Okay, so between the two options, Danny, you'd prefer to only acquire the 86 pick and
I had forgotten there was a 2nd, 5th rounder next year.
okay.
If they accept that, that's reasonable.
All right. And would we like to give them the Bears or LA's?
Probably the
Whichever one they like more,
Yeah,
honestly.
they like one like
They are exactly the same.
McVay's a wizard, so
Let's give them the ours. I'm just gonna hope that we're awesome.
Yeah, I would think they'd like ours more. Rookie quarterback, like
Yeah.
It's
7
second
and
round
10
pick.
team, not a team that just made the playoffs, that doesn't have Matthew Stafford on it, you know.
And by the way, our Midwest regional scout wants Austin Booker. 50% of the vote would like him. It dropped to 40% once it refreshed, but we're trading back. So offer the trade. Trade accepted. We have moved back.
See, this low key kind of cooks.
yeah, now we're
So just to highlight some people who have gone: Austin Booker gone, Alex Hunt gone, Xavier Thomas gone, Johnny Wilson, who was interesting, but we have Marvin Harrison Jr. Who cares? But he's also gone. We are now looking at a couple options here. So some of the top guys available according to PFF: Marshawn Lloyd, Kyrie Jackson, Malik Washington, Javon Solomon, Eric All, Cooper Beebe, D'Darian Taylor Demerson. I know that's Danny music a little bit.
Adrian, Rabbit, let's go.
That's my dude, man. That guy's awesome. I don't think he knows what he's doing at all. He's just playing football, but it's awesome.
Tyrone Tracy, who wide receiver converted running back. Cedric Van Pran fills the center.
That's Danny's music right there.
Right there. Tyrone Tracy.
I'll hear the cameras over there shaking.
But he's down in their mind 102 rank, average draft position 116.
I'm not taking this high. Absolutely.
Yeah, we're sitting at where we at 89.
Well, I'm curious. Kyrie, Mason, Q, have you guys watched Javon Solomon at all from Troy? Like, I like him. I just don't know what to do with him.
Yeah. I haven't watched him that much, so I can't tell you that.
Yeah, he is one of the few guys who I have not gotten to yet. I know one of our scouts over at Building the Board, Steve Letizia, liked him enough to call him a top 100 guy for him, but it was like traits driven. There's some Ben there. There's some traits that you like, but it's not confident either.
It's all theoretical. It's just like, if this guy's bend and burst translate, you might have yourself like a designated pass rusher, but I don't know what to do with him right now because he doesn't really do anything.
Kind of like what I was saying earlier. I'm in the camp of don't go chasing edge just because you need it. And I'd rather beef up the interior and use Javon as a Swiss Army knife throughout the whole O line. We saw him play some defensive end last year and kick some tackles butts. Like, I think you can get some of that to help fill that space. I'm not going to put him at edge for more than 10% snaps, but that still fills 10% of your snaps, right? I feel like you're going to have to mix pieces here to make the D line work at this point, as opposed to just saying we got our rotation, we got our dudes. Mm-hmm. So I'm all about just getting D line talent now.
Yeah, I also think that seeing where things are right now, we got to just think purely about who do we think is the best player available here that makes sense? Because we also have that number 92 right now. So we can perhaps splurge on a player here that we like, see how things. I mean, again, most of these players are still going to be here in a couple of picks, right? So let's just think right now about who do we like from this crop. I'll tell you one player that I like, and that's Mason McCormick. I got a chance to see him at the Shrine Bowl. He is a mean MF. He was one of the guys that really stood out down there. Basically at the Shrine Bowl, I like all of those interior offensive linemen. Like basically all the guards and centers, I would just like, I want that guy. Oh, I want that guy too. Oh, that guy also rocks. So I'm looking at somebody there who, I mean, you need insurance inside. And I know they've signed a couple of guys, but I view McCormick as a guy who's probably going to start for you within 2 years.
To Kyrie's point, if you're talking about just players I like Sanat a lot.
Yes.
Like, that dude's a football player. You start digging into all the tight end and H-back stuff that specifically your new offensive coordinator does. I think he could have a lot of fun with him. Now, is he a fullback? Kinda. Like in the easy comp is like, well, we've seen small tight ends succeed. Look at Chris Cooley. Like it's such an easy, like this is who he reminds me of. But man, there are some guys you just watch him and it's like, I know he can play football.
Yes.
And he's one of them. And it's the same thing with his Kansas State teammate. Cooper Beebe is a football player. Like, I know he's got length issues in his arms. Like, I'm not asking him to play tackle. Like, I'm just not.
So when it comes to interior O-line, this is kind of a feeling I have at this point in the draft. With how deep this center class is, especially in the state of the Bears roster, I want a center who can play guard, not a guard who can play center. Right? Like, and I don't want to see Ryan Bates playing center. You know, and he might be the starter this year even, but I think Coleman Shelton should be the starter personally, but we'll see how that goes. Either way, I don't want to see the backup center. I want to see a rookie center who's being groomed to be the next guy in line. If it comes to that. So that is where I struggle with Cooper Beebe, where it's like, I think he could play center. He might project pretty well to center, but I haven't seen him do it. So I struggle with that. And when I see Michael Hall Jr. on this board, I get excited. Like this was a guy who was a hellacious pass rusher for Ohio State. He had a higher pass rush win weight than Byron Young, but he was 280 pounds, right? He comes into his pro day. He's weighing in at 299. He does all the athletic testing at 299 and still blows it out of the water. I think Michael Hall Jr. is a steal here. He has like 3 or 4 different pass rush moves. He's shown he can stack them on top of each other. That is just a pass rush demon on the interior who I want to put on my football team.
And to that point, you know, if you want to do RAS, because you know we love our RAS, we love our athletes here. This back from March 21st. Actually, let me get the most recent one. 9.56. Like you said, he was in at 299, which was up about 10 pounds from where he was before. And he's just great / elite at all the movement stuff. This is a nice upside guy on the interior. That's explosive.
I mean, it's a guy who should be going in the second, potentially end of the second, beginning of the third round. I think just taking a guy like him, I mean, he's got so much flash for a player that's like a constant force. He can really be a rotation player pretty quickly, I think, and very disruptive. The other thing too is I think there's more to him to come out of his game eventually. Like I don't think he's fully there yet, like some of these other guys. So I think this is just I think for me this is a pretty obvious choice of taking a Michael Hall.
His growth from last year to this year, the tape was massive. So this guy learns. This guy puts the coaching onto the field. He won the American team practice player of the week at the Senior Bowl. I talked to him at the Senior Bowl. I asked him if there's anything he was trying to show or prove to anyone out there. He said he's just going out there to show everyone that he's an absolute dog and the hardest working guy on the field. I mean, I love this guy.
I'm with it. All I took was, I want to say it was the Michigan tape where he just made everything on that offensive line full of NFL prospects, just wrecking shop and making, because JJ, if you watch a lot of JJ stuff, he's clean almost every one of his 12 dropbacks a game. Not against Ohio State. Not with that guy killing people. He's awesome. He's got issues and stuff you need to have him work on, which is why he's available theoretically at this point in the draft. But I have no issues with him here. I'm for it.
And again, he is 20 years old. He'll be turning 21 in June. So you're getting a guy who already has all that to start with. And like Q said, already is really, you can see is progressing each year. It's at the point where I think we would just take this guy and we will move on.
I think we will be happy with this. Thank you.
And so will Mr. Flus. All right, we are now at
tough.
our next pick 92. The only people that went off the board were Cooper Beebe and Marshawn Lloyd. No one's too beat up about it. Oh, by the way, I didn't want to highlight. I threw a poll out. I put Michael Hall. I put Mason McCormick. I put Cedric Van Pran and Ben Sinnott. And Cedric Van Pran was winning 60% of that vote. Bears fans want a center. I get why you want a center. I don't want to continue having the center issue, but I think when you have like you said, there is depth in this class that we can get to center.
I'm just glad Ben Sinnott finally got a vote while we were watching it.
Yeah, right. I was just staring at it. And so speaking of, our next pick after this won't be till 122. Is there anyone that anyone wants to stand for and say, look, this should be the pick here? Do we look at a trade back to try to get another pick here? For example, the Chiefs want to move up 3 spots, or where are we at here?
I'll take it. Dadrian Taylor Demerson. Just do it. Why not? I know he's new to the position. The dude is a running back converted to safety. Your player opposite of God, oh my God, names, Dan. I'm defaulting to Amos. Jaquan Brisker.
Yeah.
Jesus. I don't know why my brain was auto-correcting to Amos other than Penn State safeties. But he covers ground. He clearly knows how to play football. His natural instincts show all over the place. He almost needs to be, in a sense, from when I watch him, revved down a little bit. It's like, dude, just calm down. And you don't have an answer long-term because Byard's already in his 30s, and he's not here for the long term. He's here as a steadying force on that defense. This is the perfect guy you could potentially take to help solidify your back end or help continue to solidify your back end of the defense long-term with a guy who, yeah, he's a project, but I think you can't teach some of the things. Like, you watch him cover ground, and that's something you can't teach. He's not like just a run-of-the-mill middle of field safety who's trying to just take away passing lanes. This dude is hauling, and he's a joy to watch play football. And I know it takes. I know he's going to take some time, but I'm all in. Give it to me.
I mean, listen, he's also a joy to talk to. Like, I interviewed him down at the Shrine Bowl. I got to see him up close. We're talking about him as being a safety, right? He's got good athleticism for the position, maybe a little undersized. But I think the cool thing about him is that in reality, he can kind of be whatever you want him to be. I mean, down at the Shrine Bowl, he told me that he had coaches on his team trying to work him in at nickel. Like, for example, this is kind of a microcosm of his experience down there at the Shrine Bowl from what I saw, right? So they were trying to work him in at every position, really, corner, safety, nickel, all that. And one day, on the second day of practice, they said, we want to work you in at nickel because we think that might be your best position in the NFL. But because of injuries and certain guys not being available, they were like, okay, look, we need you at safety today. And he had a pick 6. Right. And he was just like kind of flying around doing his thing. I think that, I mean, he's the kind of guy who can make an impact anywhere. right? He could be insurance for Kyler Gordon. He could be insurance on the back end. He could be emergency insurance for the outside. You can put him anywhere. You can put him on special teams, and he's just going to fly around and make plays and just be a really aggressive, intense football player that I personally think that this team is going to love. I think that his personality would fit so well with what they like here.
One option on the board is Daedry, and I have that listed. Q, is there anyone else, any other position? I know, like I said, we were kind of goo gaga over Tyrone Tracy. He's sitting there. Ben Sanat is sitting there. We also do have Braylon Trice if we want to go with the need thought process of edge.
So, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and argue against a Red Raider. Rabbit rules, right? Like, I mean, I'm a Texas Tech grad. That's my dude. And I don't know how much you guys know about the Texas Tech defense. That is a defense that wants to attack, puts a lot of pressure on their defensive backs to perform because they don't have a lot of bailouts. They don't have a lot of help out there. They're just kind of left to survive. And he did it, right? With an attacking mindset, which is difficult to find. But I will say, Ben Sinnott's here, and there are not many other tight ends in this class I like personally. And he won't be there at 122. And also, if you guys should have told Lester to come pounding in here at like 45 minutes in saying he's Shane Waldron, he demands his tight end, because Shane Waldron is hammering the door down right now, nervous as hell that he's not going to get his guy.
So he was asking for a soapbox. And mind you, this is all, you know how it is when you watch these prospects. It's freshness. Whoever you watch most recently. Daedrian is the last 2 days of watching for me. So he's super, super fresh in my mind. Sinnott was so early on in my evals, but he's got a great grade. His thing is he's just small. He's a small tight end. Like, I'd have no.
You got your big tight end already.
Right, exactly. And and the way they deploy the tight ends, I think that Waldron would have a ton of fun with them. So I have no qualms with it. Like, if we wanted to even make it a coin flip, I wouldn't be mad. Like, doesn't matter.
My one other consideration here is I do want a center. We got 2 picks. We're talking about tight end, safety, and center.
But
either one of them misses
do we
out.
have 2 picks? Because the Kansas City Chiefs are calling us right now, and they're willing to offer us to move 3 spots up, pick 159 and 221.
Here's the thing. I already know personally who I want as a center, and I think he'll be available with our next pick.
Yeah, I think one of them will be available, but then you don't get the tight end. That's where I was going with it. It's you got to pick 2 or 3, or we're trading down. And is Casey given that much for 3 spots?
Again, with the caveat of PFF simulator, yes, there's like a 42% chance.
Okay. I mean, I'd do that. I don't think Sinnott or maybe Daedry.
Hey, look, they did it. We moved down 3 spots, and I got you a pick to hopefully. Okay, yeah, they took Malik. There's Malik Washington, Khari Jackson, and Spencer Rattler. We're still good.
Congratulations, Khari, on being drafted.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right. Unless we let me check in on the chat here. I put the trade back. A bunch of people wanted 27%. Said trade back. 54% though, saying Ben. I don't know. I think we do it.
Let's go Senate. Let's do it.
All right. I love it.
Damn.
It's bittersweet to not get my Red Raider.
It's bittersweet for sure. Just because he's so fresh in my mind, Q. It's great.
So for me at this point, interior O-line center is what I'm thinking. I don't know about you guys. There are some safeties later in the class I like, but there's also some centers later in the class who I still do like.
I gotta know. Okay, listen, where's my guy Hunter Norzad?
He's gone. He's long gone, buddy.
He is gone. Where did
he probably had to take him around 80.
Pick 114. He is gone in this scenario.
Arthur.
But we have a couple other guys that I know I'm interested in, such as Tanner Bortolini and Bo Limmer.
Yep.
So between those two, to make my pitch, I'm going Bo Limmer. Tanner Bortolini has some snapping issues that make me nervous about his long-term viability to play center. Maybe he figures them out. Maybe he doesn't. I want to know. I think Bo Limmer, what he showed at the Senior Bowl, being able to anchor down against Tavondre Sweat's bull rush, he's the strongest man on the Arkansas football team. He doesn't look it. He's a little undersized, but that man is lean and strong, and he knows his technique. I think Bo Limmer beyond 100 is a steal, personally. I'm biased because he's one of my favorite guys in this class after Hunter Norzad, but that's just me.
We got 122, 150. So I'm conflicted because I could argue we need a double dip at wide receiver right now. And there might be a friend of Caleb just kind of hanging around.
Which friend? Because there's one friend I don't want.
There's Taj.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. That's
So
the friend
I think
interested in.
the other friend of Caleb you were referring to, I think he's gone already.
Rice?
He's
He's right here.
Oh no, he's right there. That's okay. We don't need him. I think I think you'll be able to chill on Taj till the next pick. So I would say
I'll ride with Limmer then.
Where?
Yeah. If you want your center, I would get our center now.
Are we sure? I don't see Taj.
Oh, did he get taken?
Oh yeah, he got taken 3 picks earlier by Steelers at 119. So
Dream is dead. That's funny though. He went before Brendan Rice. I mean, honestly, I feel like it's deserved. But
yeah, he's the better receiver.
Yes, he's better.
It was so clear who's better at football, and it wasn't Jerry's kid.
All right, so I'm posting this in the chat momentarily just because I do want your perspective. So we'll vamp a little just so the chat can have a say in this. So actually, we're not taking him, but why Khari is Taj better than Jerry Rice's kid?
When I watched USC, I just saw a guy in Taj Washington that just straight up understands how to get open. I think it's really as simple as that. Especially for being a smaller guy, being able to, shake free from the line of scrimmage, be tough over the middle of the field, yards after catch. And he's just a tough little football player. And I feel like of all the USC receivers, he just seemed to be the one that Caleb Williams just implicitly trusted the most. Mm-hmm. Like you knew Taj Washington was probably not going to let him down. He was going to be where he was supposed to be. He was going to get open on time when he needed to, and he was just going to be able to throw in the ball and count on him. And I think, again, I saw him down at the Shrine Bowl making some really remarkable catches for a guy who's like 5'10", generously. He's a tough guy. I think that's a little bit kind of undersold. And it's not that he's not a blazer in terms of straight line speed, but one thing that they tracked down there, via GPS was max acceleration and deceleration. And he was like top 10 among like all offensive players in both categories. He gets up to speed fast and he throttles it down really quickly. Just a really hard guy to stay in front of.
Yeah, all right. Well, Bo Limmer is also winning this, so let's just go with it.
Go with Bo. Bo knows.
I got to go back to my filter of interior offensive lineman.
Did anyone come to Bo's birthday party though? Are we sure about that?
I'm so excited to watch that movie in a week.
I'm definitely watching it.
They're out here saying that that's what Sean Payton was doing when they said that they had to take 2 hours to handle some analytics research, and they were just like, run time of draft day 2 hours.
So we're now sitting here at pick 159. So here, is there anyone that anyone again wants to stand for necessarily? We're kind of late in the draft. We're throwing some stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks in round 5.
I like Anthony Gold a lot. He's fun.
Anthony Gold is fun. Katano Adapo's fun.
Zach Zinter's a nasty MF.
I like
Zach Zinter has the best quote of any player in this draft. When he got to Michigan, he said, "I know the guy across from me, his mom's in the stands, and his mom is seeing what I'm doing to him. And I'm just messed up in the head, but that's football." It's something along those lines, and it's incredible.
That's incredible. At this point, this would be a time where I would take I know Dom Rob flamed out real fast, but this is another time where I would just look at who's the hyper athletic edge And
Cedric
just-
Johnson is a guy I'd consider for that if he's still on the board.
Can I throw something out that no one's gonna agree with, but I'm just gonna throw it out there because I'm me.
Is Mo Kamara gone?
Yeah, he's gone.
Looks like he's gone.
What about Torrey Taylor?
I'd do it.
What better way to help your
Why
young
not?
rookie quarterback than the Aussie that can literally just pin the ball wherever he wants to and has a massive leg?
Sure. Punters are people too, friends.
They are.
But here's the thing:
Don't
you
spend
laugh
draft
at the
picks on them, though.
people laugh at the punter conversation, which I get it; it makes sense. But you don't laugh when your punter is either losing you a game, and you don't laugh when your punter is setting it up so that your defense is all working on at the 20-yard line on almost every drive. Just saying.
I'd be okay with Torrey Taylor here.
Honestly,
I'd be
Torrey
okay with
Taylor-
looking for a safety for all the reasons we said earlier.
It just feels rich. Yeah, I would lean safety or like who's your developmental edge that you like. I'm like staring at my computer like super hard because the print is so small. Jaheim Bell's there.
While I know like I get what you're saying because like punter is super rich in general and in the 5th round. Dane Brugler has a 4th round grade on Torrey Taylor.
There's going to be a pick in here that everybody's just like,
Oh, it's
what
already
in the
happened
world is that?
because we
So-
didn't take Braylon Trice. So yeah.
All right, I had the backing of Q on this. I'm taking Torrey Taylor.
Do it.
We'll
Flip
pump
the
through one
field.
more mock after this really quick, and you guys can veto me all you want to.
Do we really think our Midwest scout would be against Torrey Taylor?
No, our Midwest guy would love it. That's why I didn't even post it in the chat.
Oh, dude, just take Joe Milton and let's make him.
I
Just
mean,
Hail
that would
Hail
be
Mary specialist.
hilarious.
Hail Mary specialist /
All right,
So
let's
Q and Danny, could I offer you a different Texas Tech safety in Tyler Owens?
I'm not interested.
Would that make it?
I'll be honest, I haven't watched any Tyler Owens. I just know he might have been the 2nd fastest player at the combine this year, but then he messed up his leg running it and didn't get an official time. And he was a 5-star safety at Texas before transferring to Tech because Texas gets 5 5-star safeties every year and they all leave.
When I get to these points of the draft, I always just default to who's on teams that are great athletes with shitty coaches. And that usually defaults to Penn State because they don't develop anything. They just get great athletes. So who's the Penn State Nittany Lion available?
What tight ends are out there still?
Solomon Byrd is out here. Oh, you're talking about tight ends? I was thinking about edges.
Sacramento State Marshall Martin IV is available.
I
The
kind of like Tanner
317th
McLaughlin, but not enough to.
Yeah,
actually have
Isaiah
conviction
Rex.
on it.
Isaac Rex is a probably project, but I thought he had a good Shrine Bowl. I feel like Solomon Byrd is somebody that I think gets overlooked because USC's defense as a whole was so awful. But Solomon Byrd is probably actually decent.
I think we need to throw a flyer out at edge because you need some. At this point, what we've set up with this draft is you didn't get a top guy early. So you're going to be just throwing people opposite, essentially Montez Sweat in a rotational fashion. So you got.
I would do Solomon Byrd personally.
Yeah, just screw it. Go with Solomon. Why not?
All right, Solomon Byrd. There we go. I don't know anything about that guy. I haven't really looked at him.
Not the edge we wanted, but the edge we deserve.
I got some awards. Look at me. All right, our draft is currently being graded. So we ended up. Wait, what? Whatever. We're not taking. Okay, anyway.
You guys didn't want to listen to your AGM who brought up Javon Solomon. Don't do that.
Man, darn it! So
My pitch was so convincing, Danny. How could you go against it?
How could you go against the? I don't know if he does anything, but he's cool.
We ended this draft with Caleb Williams, of course. We traded up to pick 6, which Danny hated every second of it, for Marvin Harrison Jr. Then we got Michael Hall Jr. A lot of juniors. I almost said we should get Frank Gore Jr., by the way, at that Torrey Taylor pick, just because we could have had 3 juniors. Michael Hall Jr., we traded back as well with the Buccaneers. We got Ben, who I love at that tight end fullback combo. We traded back again. We got Bo Glimmer, which is an F, but that's silly. PFF, you know what you're talking about. Torrey Taylor and Solomon Byrd. Not too bad.
It's a pretty awesome class, actually.
That was
like
solid.
Strong
I
word.
think we're running into some aspect of like, is Ben Senna really going to be there at 95? Is Bo Limmer really going to be there at 122? Because I
mean, of
love
course,
this
yeah.
class, and it's just like, it's going to get my hopes up.
Yeah, that's the only issue with these and you're always going to have guys that go like top 80 where you're like, who?
My favorite is the
Yes.
end of the first round where there's always like Strange, and Kyrie knows this one really well. Was one of those where it's like, wait, I like him, but there.
The first one I can remember with that was when the Ravens actively took Hayden Hurst with just Lamar Jackson staring them in the face, which it didn't end up mattering. They got Lamar anyway by trading back up, but I was just like, but why?
So we're gonna pump through one more mock. This one will be much quicker. We're gonna kind of go gut feeling here, just to have because let's be real, the one we just did is not going to happen. So we're gonna try to make one a little more realistic here.
We're just gonna shout it out.
Start the draft. We're taking Caleb. Move on.
Toodles.
We're still gonna go slow at the beginning here because I'm curious what'll happen. Drake May goes first, or second, excuse me. Jane Daniels goes third. Like we're in the realm of possibility. Roma Dunze to the Cardinals at pick 4. Marvin Harrison at pick 5.
JJ.
Malik Neighbors, we are definitely trading back.
Yeah.
Brock Bowers at 7. What is happening here? And Joel Alt at 8.
Hey, look, my cornerback 1 hanging out at the top of the list.
So Cooper DeJean is your CB1, Danny?
Mm-hmm.
I have him at 2, right behind Quinten.
I'm not gonna lie here. I would see who wants to trade up.
Oh, 100%. As soon as I saw those 3 receivers go, we're trading back.
So,
How far back? Ooh, this is realistic. Pick 13 with the Raiders.
Yeah.
sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Why?
Bam. Do it.
So we got pick 13 for pick 9. Do we just ask for 44 and call it a day?
I don't think they would give you 44, but go ahead and give it a shot.
Yeah,
I mean,
it feels rich.
That feels rich. So here's a question that I think is very interesting. And Chad, I'm going to stop throwing the votes up in there. Just kind of shout out in there what you're doing or what you're thinking here. Would we rather look to trade further back to try to get specifically a second, or is everyone happy with we got a third, move on? Because I agree. I don't think you're getting pick 44 to move up those spots.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that in that case, you would see about offering them
Rams
sweetener
at
in order
19.
to get that.
I don't want to fall back to 9. I don't want to go past 15 if I don't have to.
No, 19's too far.
Yeah.
What do you think? Is 19 too far?
I think, I mean, in the mock might be okay. In real life, I think you go past 13, you're going to miss on a guy that you want.
So here's the better question, I guess, then is who do we want? So I'm going to go Kyrie, you go first because you'll talk the longest. Who would you be aiming for in a trade back?
I think it's going to be one of the defensive interior guys. For me, it's either Newton or Murphy. Debate amongst yourselves.
You just did that because I made the joke about you talking a lot.
He did it despite you, Kyrie.
Here's one more point to bring up before you go, Danny, because someone brought this up. JJ McCarthy is still available. So would a team trading up for a quarterback QB tax? Yes, the second isn't likely normally, but does that QB tax make it more likely? Because the Raiders are now jumping the Vikings in this scenario.
I think they would just stay at 13 sooner than pay the tax and take Michael Penix because Raiders.
Can we assume that they're semi-smart?
No.
All right, Q, I'm going to ask you the same question. Do you think there would be any QB tax in this scenario, or no, they'd say, screw you, we'll give you a third?
It's tough. Are the Broncos really interested in giving up a haul to get their quarterback? According to this, they're not. But like in reality, are they?
Yeah.
Because you can't really pit them against the Vikings because you don't want to give the Vikings their quarterback. And they know that. So you need to get a bidding war with someone going here. It's probably Denver and not Oakland, Las Vegas.
Doesn't JJ just feel like he's meant to be with Sean Payton? Like,
Yeah.
to me, that just feels like it's meant to be.
I mean, it's either that or Minnesota. So
Minnesota.
I think I agree with you. We can't go too far back. I think the Raiders are as far back currently as I'm comfortable. And with that being said, I do think you can say, hey, Vegas, you have the Vikings and Denver in front of you. One of them is going to move up and get this quarterback. You got to give us your second pick.
Try
in my
it,
opinion.
yeah. I don't think they would do it, but try it.
Well,
I mean, they did it. We did it.
I think you'd have to throw in a little sweetener, like
Yeah,
a fourth
that's
round
what-
next
that's
year
what I'm
or
saying.
something.
You gotta give me
and-
your
Let's
fourth
assume
pick.
we gave him a fourth rounder next year.
yeah, that's where I was getting to. Like, it doesn't
Exactly.
impact us here today, whether we threw
Tyler
it in or not.
Suaga, pick 9. Byron Murphy, gone at pick 10 to the Jets.
I'm upset.
I am very
I
upset.
am so mad.
JJ McCarthy to the Broncos.
yeah, there you
So-
go. Look at that.
Yeah.
They thought the same thing you did. All right.
I don't think they can trade down, guys.
No, I can't trade.
No.
back.
No, we're picking.
And I'm the Johnny Newton fanboy out here who's been like pounding the
I knew
table
this was
for
going to
him.
happen.
Just
Johnny's awesome, but he's gonna break that metatarsal again.
yeah, I mean, if there's he kicked butt at his pro day, and the fact that teams are still seem worried about it. Now I'm more worried about it because my whole thing was see how he does at the pro day, see if he kept that explosiveness. He seemed to, but if he isn't moving upwards, that means there's a real concern, right? Mason, I mean, you know it much better than I do.
So now the question to me is, we want edge here, then, right? If you're not going with Johnny, we want an edge, right?
I don't like this edge class, man.
I just feel like
You don't feel good.
It sucks that Murphy went where he did because I think he is the only defensive lineman that has like Pro Bowl potential, in my opinion.
I'm taking Dallas Turner, I think.
I think Latu does, but his neck is dumb. Like I don't know if he plays.
I'm telling you right now, I am not drafting that man at this spot.
So we hate Jared Verse at 13.
I want nothing to do with Jared Verse on my football team.
I'm just fine with Jared Verse. I'm not excited. I'm not upset. I'm very fine, which makes me feel very much like it's exactly what's going to happen. And I'm just going to sit here with no strong opinions. But like, if Dallas Turner's there and they take Verse, I'm going to be upset.
Yeah, Jared Verse at 13 is okay with me, not 9.
If you're talking about just pure, I'm not. See, I don't want to trade back though. Like,
I'm just looking at who was calling. The Colts are calling us 2 picks. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, who else is gonna do anything for you? It's gonna be all the same players.
We're gonna trade back, and Dallas Turner is gonna be picked by the Colts.
I know you're right.
It's gonna be all the same players. None of it's gonna be
cards, man.
None of it's gonna change.
All right. No, he's a guard.
Fashanu?
Fatanu?
Fashanu.
Bashino, Olu.
Oh, you're saying Olu.
There's
Sorry,
too
I thought you
many
said Fatanu. I was like, no, he's a
offensive
guard.
tackles in this class.
Now, look, I'll say this. I mean, hand size concerns aside or whatever.
He didn't let up a sack like the last 2 years of football or something like that.
I
I
mean,
just hate that he doesn't run block.
I don't need him to run block. I need him to protect Caleb.
I think
In a run-heavy offense
I
that's
think
going
there's
to
an
rely a
argument
lot on run action, you need him to run block.
yeah.
Hey, you don't trump me, Q. Quiet.
And I like Fashanu. I wouldn't be upset about it here. Sorry to cut you off, Khari, but I do think run blocking gets thrown to the side way too often as someone who really likes offensive
I
line.
generally agree. I'm just being facetious.
Can I offer my offensive? I'm not saying I want this necessarily. I'm just throwing it out there. My offensive tackle 2 is actually JC Latham.
Me too.
I mean,
I have
if
him
we're going to
over
go full, if I'm going to go full me, just go Amarius Mims and live with the consequences.
The man who played how many? Has he played like? Did he play like
8
10 games or something?
8 games.
Oh, but they were fun 10 games.
They were good. That was a good team.
They don't make people like him. That man does not exist normally.
Wait, so are you guys anti Dallas Turner?
I just
I'm
don't
not
think he's
anti
fit.
Dallas.
I mean,
This
I
was
love
just-
the idea of him. I just
Yeah.
don't think he's a defensive end.
Okay. That's
I
fair.
think he's
And
a-
I'm
He's a
I'm
3-4
far from a
outside
perfect
linebacker.
edge scout. So I was just
reminds-
curious.
He reminds me of Leonard Floyd. And I can't get that out of my brain.
Small Leonard Floyd.
And
Okay,
Leonard
so-
was small.
considering.
Yeah, but I mean, like he's short too. Like the Leonard Floyd was at least like 6'6" with like paddles for arms. Like
I'm gonna throw this out there. We just said we're not trading back. However, no one's very excited about anybody currently here. I'm more excited about people who are further back. So do we trade back?
I know what you're angling for AD. I know you are.
I'm
And
angling.
gonna
There are 4 names I'd be happy with leaving in like the late teens, early 20s.
Are we content leaving this first round without an edge rusher?
I'm not, honestly, I'm not. I
not.
feel good enough personally. Okay. I know you disagree, Danny, but I feel good enough personally about taking Jared Verse here.
So let me preface, or let me explain my thoughts. And I've echoed these to Q on the side. I don't hate Jared Verse, and I know my reaction probably conveyed that. I just don't think he does anything extremely well. He's strong as hell. He's good at like everything. Like he's a solid pass rusher. He's solid against the run. He does a lot of stuff, but I don't know what he does like that separates him. Like I feel like you're almost drafting Alex Brown.
He reminds me of, and this might still be hyperbole, but and I've said this to you, Danny, before. He reminds me of late career Khalil Mack. Like he's gonna win with strength. That's what he's gonna do. Yeah. He doesn't have any real mobility or flexion left, but he's just a powerhouse. He's gonna try to go through you. Whether that translates to the NFL from looking like that in college is a different question. But I think that is a valuable football player still.
I think 2 things. One, Sean Ward said Latu then. Hell no. I'm not touching that man. His neck is broken. If he proves me wrong and goes and gets a second contract and plays, 3 years in that contract, bully to you and bully to the team that takes him. I'm not touching it. I'm not. I think Eric Bono, I don't know your name, makes a good point. No one feels great about any of the edges here. Feels like the group is trying to convince themselves into positional need. And isn't that what we argue about all the time in our various chats and stuff is don't just draft for need.
So my question is, and you know what? I think ultimately I think I feel that. Now my question is, we were talking about Austin Booker and being really interested in him. Is that then the guy that we're targeting next?
I would say yes. If we can get I would say yes.
Then okay, if that's how you feel, then we can okay. So here's what I'm thinking.
It's the most ridiculous. This is gonna go fast. Here we are.
Yeah, seriously, what the hell is this?
Yeah. You know me. Okay, quick thing.
Who needs a corner?
Here 4 teams are calling us. Colts at 15, Steelers at 20, Commanders at 36, and Chargers at 37. I would want to either do 15 or 20 personally.
I do 20.
So 20 with the Steelers. Can you do 13 to 20 and get their 51? You can, according to this. But I mean, do we think that'll happen?
I can tell you in a second.
So that was value charts. I mean, I feel like the value chart would say yes.
I feel like the value chart would be close.
Bears are winning that by 90 points on Jimmy Johnson, so that's a little rich.
They're on the 5th next year.
90 points?
Throw him something this year. We have a ton of picks right now.
Do we have 1340? We could throw him 122. That seems like a lot.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was looking at the Steelers side. Sorry. Big dumb over here.
We all get a touch of the
Give him a 5th next year.
Give him the 5th next year. I feel like that's
fair. You can have the Bears one. There you go.
There.
Yay. Okay. All right. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. Troy Fontenot, Dallas Turner, J.C. Latham.
We really just need to shout it to the heavens now. Like, who do you want to go?
All right, Danny, who would you take here? Look, I know Mims maybe would be my guess for you.
Right here, actually, I would honestly, as much as I just bemoaned it, Verse here is good value. I would probably take it.
If the way that I'm looking at this, if we're counting on Austin Booker, we're taking him at 51. We're not waiting for 75. We're not going to risk not getting him if that's our strategy. So I'm good with with AD Mitchell here. I'm good with a handful of receivers here, but we need to be saying we are reaching on 51 because we cannot miss that.
I would like AD Mitchell. I'm going to put that out there. I want him over Brian Thomas. I want him over Troy Franklin. I want him over Jackson Powers Johnson. Graham Barton's the only one that tickles. That would be like, ooh, you're cool, but like you don't need him really. So I mean, my guy right now would be Adonai Mitchell.
I got to be honest. I feel like I would rather take a receiver later than take one of these guys right now.
I want nothing to do with Adonai in the first.
I think at pick 20, I've already said I would take him at 13. I feel like at this point, like we're nitpicking real hard if we're not taking Jeremy.
Yeah, I'm good with verse here too, to be clear, because then we're not reaching at 50.
Yeah, no, at 20, I'm like, no, I think we got to do this, bro.
And if it's neither of those two, I might get wild with it and say, give me JPJ, and we're taking a receiver in the second round. Because that's the point we're at now.
Because I think
those guys are wrong.
Here's the thing. One guy we didn't get in the last mock that I feel like I would 100% do at 75 is Malik Washington. I feel like he would actually be low-key awesome as your number three wide receiver with the guys you already have. I freaking love Malik Washington.
Malik's awesome.
Holy!
It isn't who I would have taken. It wasn't who I would have taken, but we're doing Jared verse. We're gonna do it and we're gonna move on.
Yeah.
The enthusiasm.
The question I have for this front office is, do you think they actually would put up with, or specifically the coaching staff, do you think they would put up with AD? Because he might just be kind of a chotch. Like I don't think, from what I've heard from people I've talked to, I don't think he's like an on or off the field like issue personality wise. It's just things have been just weird for him, and he also just he's young in the brain. He needs a place that he can go and chill a little bit and like be brought forward. And I think that the fluciness that we make fun of in a way would be good for him. But that's just me. The fluciness.
All right, we are sitting here at pick 44. This is where I'm going to now pound the table for. Actually, I have two. There's two people here I would take. Khari, why don't you go first?
Well, obviously we're in wide receiver land. I know who some of y'all probably want. You got your Ricky Pearsall right there. We also have Xavier.
That's my dude.
We got. Is it Leggett or Leggett?
Leggett.
All right. Listen, Xavier Leggett. I mean, the explosive capability right there at this point in the draft, what he could become. I think he's definitely got like wide receiver 2 ceiling at least. I'm real intrigued by that right now.
Can we see the receivers?
Oh yeah, I can just filter it by there. Because so far, you haven't said a person that I would draft.
Well, we know who you would draft. He's got the WKU and does all his damage on screens.
Yeah, actually, he's not who I was looking at here, but like I do like Malachi Corley.
40% of those yards, man. It's a big number.
It's a big old number.
I don't care. Just give me yards. I don't care how you do it. You could walk in your hands for all I care.
You know what? Who's the running backs available? Let's go weird. Let's get weird. Let's get Blake Corum. Why not?
I mean, we're not doing that, but it's funny. I mean, yeah, we could do that. All right. So the two I was going to throw out there were going to be actually Jalen Polk and Jatavian Sanders.
I like Jalen Polk a lot.
To me, Jalen Polk is Roma Dunze light. Like if you just the Diet Coke version of him, where he does like a bunch of good things, but he just doesn't do anything like great. But he can do work at all three levels. He definitely is like a potential NFL starter guy, like lock himself into a wide receiver 2 role. And I mean, he just needs to develop a bit more as a route runner and get a little more like work there. He did actually
better to put him with than DJ and Keenan Allen.
Right. So I just think that would be a good combo there.
So among the receivers there, like Jalen Polk is definitely a reach relative to my board, but he's 22 years old. These other guys aren't. I think there's untapped upside there. The other guys, I'm worried that they're maxed out. So Jalen Polk is a guy that I am just fine with here relative to what's left on the receiver board. And I feel like we got to go receiver here. So I'm here for that.
I'm gonna just throw a wrench in here because I want to get Mason's goose a little bit. Hear me out on Xavier Worthy.
No.
Not a fan. Just not a fan.
I mean, make a case, but no.
I wouldn't personally do it. The thing you can't teach and the thing you're asking him to do with Keenan Allen and DJ Moore being here, you're asking him to be a vertical slot. That's literally all you'd be asking of him.
Well, in the way that I see Worthy in this offense, like you're going to be able to get him free releases. You got Keenan Allen and DJ Moore out there, and you're going to be able to force teams into too high in a run heavy offense because of his speed. If you can get those free releases, I think that's how you sell Xavier Worthy. If you're saying Shane Waldron needs a vertical threat like DK Metcalf, Worthy's not DK Metcalf clearly, but he is a vertical threat who can threaten you in different ways like that. So, I mean, I'm interested in Worthy. I'm not gonna sit here and say I want him, but I'm interested.
Regardless, my vote is look at it. I just think the height, weight, speed. I don't care that he's a weird late bloomer. He's new to the receiver position. He was like an option quarterback coming out of high school. Like, there's a lot of stuff there, and it's like, it's funny coming from me because I disliked Treylon Burks so much coming out of Arkansas, and that's kind of what he reminds me of. And it's like, but I like Leggett mainly because I'm not spending a first round pick on him.
So I'm gonna make my argument for the Bears almost trying to do Kansas City, Midwest here and ramp up the speed with the Xavier Worthy. He's not necessarily like, we're not going to sit up here and act like he's Tyreek Hill or anything, but the idea of having a guy that is is that fast and scares the living, bleep out of opposing defenses, in addition to the two number one receivers you already have, and then you got to worry about that guy. That sounds like a lot of fun to me.
Oh, it's fun. It's absolutely fun.
My other question here, just make it quick. Like, do we have to do receiver? Because I just said I would be good with Malik Washington.
I know, but I like some of these guys. Like a lot. Like I like Polk. Like if I can't have Roma Dunze, again, I'm going to take, Mr. Pibb Dunze.
I'm okay waiting until 51 on receiver if we want to.
Look at these names. There's a bunch of dudes going to be there still.
Yeah, I'm sitting here saying I'm okay with Polk. I'm okay with Worthy. Danny really likes Leggett. I'm cool with Javon Baker to a degree.
Jermaine Burton's super talented.
Who are we not focusing on, like, in the non-receiver realm here?
I mean, non-receiver. It's a weird place you're in. I mean, you could be looking at a Chris Jenkins on the line. You can go tackle at Karan. I'm not gonna say his last name because I'll butcher that.
I'm like a DJ.
Okay, I'm gonna pull my GM card. We're taking Jalen Polk. I just really like Jalen Polk. Y'all can have the rest of the draft. Okay, we're here. Look at this. Guys are still here. Chris Jenkins, who it's still there.
All right, guys, this is my last pick. I got daddy duty.
All right, rapid fire. 3 picks. We'll go through.
Centers?
Wait, you want a center here?
We still got some of the best centers in the class on the board. I'm interested. No, we don't.
I was gonna say I just feel like you could get at 75.
I was thinking if Zach Frazier might still be on the board.
Gotcha.
Okay, let's do. Kind of
like current votes. Chris Jenkins, personally,
I really like Omega DJ, but you just gotta look at the fact that he's beating up on kids at Brown.
I kind of like the idea of like Jaden Hicks as a long, versatile defensive back playing safety, kind of thing.
Oh, look, Xavier Worthy is still there.
Okay.
Okay, so names I'm going to throw out that seem like, so we got Chris Jenkins was mentioned, Jaden Hicks was mentioned, Karan was mentioned, Christian Haynes.
Just go Edgerrin Cooper and really just screw with people.
Q, who would you take?
I'd take Chris Jenkins in a heartbeat.
All right, well, there's a
All right,
tiebreaker. Chris Jenkins.
There you go.
All right, we're also going to turbo this to get through these last couple picks. All right, second to last pick for the Bears. How is Marshawn Nealon still there? Insane.
Take Nealon. Just do it. Just because he's there.
All right. This
Honestly, I don't hate it.
Give Flus his draft.
We're just going to do it because he's so good. Again, I said this
We
earlier.
traded up
mock.
for MHJ in the first one. We gotta give Flus his draft too.
Yeah, this is the Matt Eberflus draft right here.
All right, the final pick, unless we trade back, which we won't.
Oh, dude, Brandon
Norjad,
is so fucking awesome.
Limmer,
Oh wait, but you want
whoever's there.
center
Taj
Taj.
Washington.
Taj. We didn't get him the first time.
Bordellini's there, but again, snapping issues. Theo
Theo
Johnson.
Johnson.
Who
is
are the
fun.
rest of our centers? Who we got centers?
It's kind of I think it's similar to before where we
Yeah.
got Bordellini,
Yeah,
we
we
got
already
Limmer
did that.
again, Dylan McMahon, Andrew Rame, Drake
Mm.
Nugent, a bunch of guys you don't really want anymore.
That's a whole
Matt
lot.
Lee is super underrated, but you're not taking him at 122.
No, that would be trade back city probably. My current vote is Taj, but if anyone has anything else they want to throw out, Cole Bishop is interesting at safety.
I like Cole Bishop actually, just as like an upside guy. I feel like I kind of want a safety right here, or like a defensive back that we could play with. I feel
Can we see
he's
the
done so
safety?
much defense though. I also
is
like
very
Blake.
heavy on
I liked Blake Watson down at the Shrine Bowl. I think he's a good versatile back. Got some explosiveness, catch the ball out of the backfield. We haven't really addressed that, and I feel like we should.
I mean, I like Bo Braid a lot, but I mean, if you're not taking him here based
like
on this
Theo
board
Johnson.
at least.
I like Theo Johnson if you want to just go trade.
All right, take.
Purely like this dude's a pure projection, but he's fun. I wish Audric Estime didn't run a 5'4".
Hey,
I don't
that
care-
man ran a
honestly, I don't care
4.68
about
at his
that.
pro day.
Honestly,
All right,
I don't
let's-
care about his 40 time. I think he could just play. So, I mean, honestly,
I do
as a
too.
guy,
I love
I've just
Estime.
been like,
He's in
man,
my
should I
top
even
100.
suggest him?
Well, he's awesome. I just wish he wasn't slow.
All right, we're
Honestly,
gonna throw this to the
looking
chat.
At this point in the draft, I would actually take Estime and walk away.
All right, let's do it. Let's get real flusy. Estimate running.
I
game.
would take him and walk away.
All right, we're throwing it to the chat. John, we're gonna put Estime, Washington. We'll put Johnson in there for tight end. So if you're not able to see this, we're talking about Theo Johnson. We're talking about Taj Washington, Audric Estime, who is awesome. And then let's just do a fourth one.
They talked to Trevor. They had a Trevor
Cole
Keegan for
Trevor Keegan?
top 30.
Oh, they did. Let's do Trevor Keegan. We'll do Keegan.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love
I'm
Estime.
sure if you follow along on these shows, you'll understand when I say guys look like superheroes because that's Estime, or guys who are built in a lab to play football. That dude just looks the part.
He's awesome, man.
He's awesome.
I was watching a Clemson game, and he hurdled two guys in one play. Like hurdled a guy, took 3 steps, hurdled another guy, and kept going. It was just like, this is the Terminator.
All right, chat, hurry up, get your votes in. I put 4 minutes on
What
it,
are
but
we
we're
asking
gonna do
them
like
for?
2 because we're all like torn.
just get Estimate.
I'm not torn.
No, we're not torn. We
Who's
all like
torn?
him.
I'm not torn.
Where is he playing? You have like 3 running backs already.
Make him a tight end.
You could easily trade or get rid of one of those. You got DeAndre Swift. To me, you got DeAndre Swift, and that is your one running back that is guaranteed. Khalil Herbert, I mean, nice, but he could literally only do like one thing, and that's basically just like run outside. So honestly, I'm not even convinced he's going to be here.
Do you actually think like so? Come week 1, you don't think Khalil Herbert's here?
I mean, low key, I could kind of see him being traded.
I could see him
I mean,
being traded during the
If you drafted Estimate, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I see him going for a 5th or something like that. Why not?
The Cowboys need a running back because Deuce Vaughn is currently probably their starter.
All right, chat's failing me. They only did 2 votes. You're out, chat. All right, Audric Estimate. I did say the rest of the draft was you guys, so there you go.
With that, guys, I am
Good job, everybody.
Bye, friends.
Right. Danny's got to go on. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll post both of these. Vote, which draft you prefer. The board fell how it fell. Obviously, we try to make this as much as like we're not just picking our favorites. We're not just picking the best person at the top. We're not just trying to fill in like a gap. Like there happens to be a gap at center. There happens to be a gap at edge. We really try to make this as war roomy as possible. So hopefully y'all enjoyed it. Any parting words, Khari?
Honestly, I feel like, especially with the number of picks at the Bears' disposal, you're just not going to fill every hole, and you have to understand that. So you get the best possible players that you can. Some of them maybe could handle more than one position, or what have you. But look, when you don't have a lot of picks, you try to get as blue chip as you can. It's really as simple as that. And sometimes like that means truly best player available. So there might be a couple of picks in this draft where you're telling yourself like, dude, what? We didn't need that position, right? We didn't need another like offensive guard or, another corner or whatever it is. You just got to get some good damn players. It's really as simple as that.
So Q, I put both of the drafts that we did up here on the screen. I don't know if you can see that or not. I try to make it relatively zoomed in. Which of the two, if you had to pick, would you prefer?
I'd prefer the first one, like by far, but I don't think it's real.
No, it's
the
very
second one feels much more real.
Yes,
where it's like
I agree.
We filled some needs on day one and day two. By the back half of day two, we're just like, I can't believe this guy's on the board. Are we really going to pass this guy? And you take him, and that's the way it works, right? That's the way the draft always is. It's you fill a few needs early, but then guys who you never thought were going to fall, and you say, I'm not missing out on this guy to go take my backup center, right? It's a different thing. And when teams, it's easy to fall in with these where it's like, man, I know I can get Bo Limmer at 122, so I don't need to attack center yet. That's not the way they work either, right? They're sitting there saying, we think Bo Limmer can start for us. We're targeting him in the top 100. We're not waiting around for him because that's how you miss out. Like last year when you missed, whether it was Ricky Stromberg or Juice Scruggs, whatever. Yeah. They're going to go get their guys where they value them, not where someone else's board has them.
Couldn't have said it better myself. We'll wrap it up here. Thank you both for joining. Thanks, Danny, too. He had daddy duty. But we did the best we could to, again, try to simulate the war room. Very excited. 1 week away, we'll be seeing the real thing. No more ifs, ands, or buts. No more questions. No more debating if Tory Taylor is a 4th or 5th or 6th round pick. Thank you, everyone. And follow along. We'll be live tweeting. Bill Zimmerman will be doing his live stream. People will be popping in and talking, and it'll be a fun time. Yeah. Bear down, everybody.
Peace.